You see them everywhere, right? From a tiny, delicate symbol on a wrist to an incredible, full-sleeve masterpiece. Tattoos are more popular than they've ever been. But have you ever really stopped and thought about how it all works? How does a bit of ink become a permanent part of who you are? Well, in this explainer, we're going to get right into it.
So yeah, that's the big question. How can a tattoo stay with us for a lifetime? To get to the bottom of that, we're going to take a journey. We'll dig into the amazing history that's been etched into human skin for thousands of years. We'll unpack the fascinating science that actually makes the ink stick around. And of course, we'll cover the super important safety stuff for anyone thinking about getting inked.
All right, let's start by rewinding the clock way, way back. Because tattooing, it's not some modern trend. It's a deeply ancient ritual that has marked human skin for millennia, signifying everything from your rank in society to your most sacred beliefs.
And here's one of the first people we know of who had them, Ötzi the Iceman. He was discovered, perfectly preserved, up in the Alps right on the border of Italy and Switzerland. And get this, his body is about 5,200 years old. Etched onto his skin were dozens of tattoos, simple lines and crosses that researchers think were probably connected to healing rituals or the beliefs of his time. Incredible, right?
This timeline really gives you a sense of just how long this has been going on. I mean, we jump from Ötzi's markings all those thousands of years ago to traditions that popped up all over the world. Take Thailand, for example. During the Ayutthaya period, a French diplomat actually wrote about how tattoos were a definite sign of being a noble. And then, up in the Lanna kingdom, they became this powerful symbol of a man's courage and his standing in the community.
And what's really fascinating is how the meanings could be so different even in the same part of the world. For the nobles in the Ayutthaya court, having tattoos on your legs and stomach, well, that showed you had serious power and rank. But for the men in the Lanna kingdom, those intricate leg tattoos were all about proving your bravery and your ability to endure pain, which in turn made you a much more respected leader and a better catch.
So we've seen the why throughout history, but what about the how? I mean, our skin is constantly renewing itself, right? So how on earth does a tattoo manage to defy that process? Well, the answer is all in the science of permanence.
Okay, it all comes down to hitting the right target. Think of your skin in layers. The very top layer, the one you see, is called the epidermis. That's the layer that's always shedding and replacing itself. So for a tattoo to last, the ink has to get past that, down into the second, deeper layer of skin, the dermis. That's the magic spot.
So let's break this down. When that tattoo needle does its thing, it's pushing ink right into that dermis layer. Immediately, your body's alarm bells go off. Your immune system sees the ink as a foreign invader, so it sends out these little protector cells called macrophages to go clean up the mess. They rush in and basically start eating the ink particles. But here's the crazy part. A lot of those ink particles are just too big for the macrophages to get rid of. So they just get stuck there, locked in place by other skin cells, and voila, the ink becomes a permanent fixture.
So think about that for a second. Your tattoo stays permanent because of your immune system, not in spite of it. How wild is that? The body's own defense mechanism, the very thing that's trying to get rid of the ink, is what actually traps it forever, holding it right there where we can see it, just beneath that outer layer of skin.
Now, knowing the science behind it really makes you appreciate what a serious process this is for your body. And that brings us to something that is absolutely critical today, doing it safely.
It's so easy to just think of tattoos as art, but you have to remember what's actually happening. One source put it perfectly. Tattooing is essentially minor surgery. You're creating thousands of tiny open wounds in your skin, and whenever you do that, there are real health risks if it's not done the right way.
So if you're even considering getting a tattoo, you've absolutely got to do your homework. This is your safety checklist. You want to check for a proper license and read tons of online reviews. Go visit the shop in person. Is it clean? Does it look professional? And then, when it comes to the actual process, a few things are non-negotiable. The artist must use a brand new sterile needle right out of the package. They must wear gloves, and you should feel comfortable asking about where their inks come from. Speaking of risks, one of them is having an allergic reaction to the ink itself. Now, any color can potentially cause a problem, but studies show that some are more likely to than others. Those really bright, vibrant colors, especially reds and oranges, tend to contain compounds that cause skin allergies more often than good old-fashioned black ink. It's just something to be aware of.
All right, this kind of brings us full circle. We've gone from ancient rituals to modern, sterile studios. So, why do we still do it? Why do people keep choosing this permanent way to express themselves?
Let's take a look at the modern canvas. Today, the reasons are just so incredibly varied. For a lot of people, it's purely about aesthetics. It's art, it's fashion. For others, it's a super powerful way to tell a personal story. Tattoos can also be about identity, showing you belong to a group, or they can be about expressing your faith. And for some, it's even a way to mark the fact that you've endured something difficult and come out stronger. And you know, when you put the reasons from back then next to the reasons for today, you see this really cool evolution. What used to be about showing your social rank might now be about celebrating a personal achievement. Ancient religious symbols have sort of transformed into modern expressions of spirituality or personal mantras. And those old-school tribal patterns, they've evolved into this incredible, wide-ranging world of aesthetics. The why has definitely changed, but that basic human need to mark our skin and tell our stories, that has not changed one bit.
So from a 5,200-year-old Iceman in the Alps to the person sitting right next to you, tattoos are this unbroken chain, a permanent record of culture, of belief, of personal history. It's a story that's not told on a page, but in the very fabric of our skin. Which really just leaves one question. If you were to add your own chapter to this long, long story, what would it say?